This is part 15 of our 100% walkthrough for Link to the Past, and this probably going through the second dungeon in the Dark World, the Swamp Palace. And we'll get the Hookshot and take on the boss, Arrghus.
And unlike later water-based dungeons that we're not really huge fans of, this is a water dungeon that we actually
in our last video like talking about how much we actually like this one.
It is a great dungeon.
As we just did our last video, like 5 minutes,
2 seconds ago,
5 minutes ago. But no, going with what you said, like I think a lot of the reason we like this is just the details, like just seeing water inside of a dungeon just adds a different visual, and you know, kind of see the snake heads on the walls, and then those have water coming out of them. Just those little details, like in a 16-bit system, just at that time really made things like this dungeon stand out.
Well, especially considering you're going to see us later on, like raising and lowering the water levels.
When it was fun.
When it was
actually fun.
Yeah, we know how that turned out.
Yeah,
Nintendo. Thanks, guys. Just because we liked it once doesn't mean you got to make it, you know.
Now there is a little bit of backtracking in this dungeon, which actually also makes it feel
I'm okay with that,
like
though.
a water dungeon.
You know, some dungeons are so linear. I'm okay with a little bit of backtracking. You know, it really makes you feel like it's a bit more of a challenge that way.
Yeah, in this dungeon, like it is a challenge, but like it's not that hard either. Like it feels like it's the right difficulty. And if we could have only got other water dungeons in Zelda to do this, like we would have really had a fantastic. I mean, it's already fantastic. Be like a super fantastic franchise, but you know what? Next game, Breath of the Wild, they're going to nail the water temple or dungeon. I feel it.
We hope.
I feel it. I feel good coming.
It makes sense to the difficulty being just about right. This is only the second dungeon in the Dark World.
Yes,
I had to think about that for a second.
Yes, it is.
For all the times I played this game, I still had to
You
stop.
played Link to the Past probably at least 10 times.
Oh yeah.
So
I still have to think about it every time. But it is like a good challenge without being too overly difficult for being this early in the Dark World.
And you see like a first water level that we changed right there. And one thing I just found really amazing with this dungeon is the first time we ever got to, well, I don't know, in any game, but we were actually able to swim inside the dungeon, just like we never had that chance in the NES games, or at least they didn't have the capabilities to do that. So just like using your flippers and swimming to it, like added to that like water swamp, you know, dungeon name.
Well, it's kind of funny. There's a few.
I was getting there eventually.
You were getting there. I had faith. There's a few places in this game where the flippers are absolutely required. And if you don't think to go to that upper right portion of the light world to buy them,
that is true.
You can be so stumped stumped.
I remember having a hard time getting there because like there's only a little opening to get there, and like it's in the top right part of the map, but like if you don't get to, well, I think really it's very linear right there. You basically it kind of leads you right there, but
it kind of does.
I remember the first time like getting actually lost somehow on going to get the flipper, so you're definitely right on that.
Now, one thing I'm not a big fan of in this dungeon, I don't like a lot of the enemies. I know I kind of mentioned that with the Palace of Darkness, or Dark Palace, whatever it's called in this game. But like I feel like in this one, instead of being armored, they all just move so fast and so unpredictably. Like some of the guys on the surface of the water really jump around and go in ways you don't expect, and it kind of makes them a pain.
I don't like them because I have them written down right here in front of me, and I still don't know which ones are which or even how to pronounce them.
Hey, me neither.
Like there's so many weird enemy names in here. Like I guess going along with their movements and stuff like that. Just like a bunch of crazy movements, crazy names, just whatever.
a lot of craziness going on.
But this is a lot better though than the Palace of Darkness. Like I think we actually ranked this in our Link to the Past dungeon ranking that we did ages ago. I believe we ranked this dungeon second.
It was up there
in the entire game. So
I couldn't remember off the top of my head. It's been a long time.
I think it was second. If it wasn't,
ranking.
It was very high. And I just love this main room right here. Like you got a bunch of different water paths. I actually like that we're walking in shallow water. I know they kind of had to do that. With this game, you I guess we got deep water right there, so I guess technically they didn't have to do it, but I just like that switch up right there.
Well, and the way they use the changing of the water level to get you past barriers, like you see the blocks down there at the bottom of the pool, it was a creative...
That really is kind of cool.
It's just a creative way, and the fact that you can still see down through the water and see the detail down there.
Let's keep the water really clean.
Yeah.
You would think from the outside, the whole swamping thing, like it wouldn't be that clean, but the water looks really good.
They've got a Brita water filter.
Like, like the technology doesn't seem like it's there in Hyrule.
Yep.
But yeah, like you said, they got like a Brita filter or something around there.
And I know you mentioned kind of the detail with some of like the the water in the statues before, but I really love seeing some of these drains on the wall that have water like trickling out of them at all times.
Yes.
Similar to the statues you see right here, but just seeing it as like a not a sewer drain, but kind of like
I want to like reiterate basically. Okay, first of all, they put the sewer drain there.
Yeah,
that was enough. Like I'm basically saying what you were saying.
Yeah,
but they put that sewer drain there. That was enough. And then they thought to add a detail of the water coming out of it, just little things like that.
Right there.
Yeah,
you
it just
walk right
makes
past.
it really stand out.
I love that.
You know, it's a color thing. It's a color thing. Like the last dungeon, we had like basically gray on gray, and just like this dungeon right here, just has more color than like anything we've really been to in the game.
And again, this is before we'd learned to hate water-based dungeons.
Yeah, like, yes, this is like this is when water dungeons were good. Like they started so high. There's so much potential in the beginning, and then it just basically went downhill, except for maybe...
Well, the Swamp Palace from Link Between Worlds was also very strong.
That was a very good one too. But see, that's in the same like land as Link to the Past, so you kind of had to make that one awesome. And you know, I do agree with you. That one in Link Between Worlds was awesome.
That's when you know we're running out of things to talk about. We start talking about
you know, it's a 12-minute part for a dungeon that is. It's really harder to talk about Link to the Past because I think once it's a top-down game, there's not as much going on.
There isn't.
There's not as many stories. Like a lot of times in games, we'll like if we hit a point where we're not sure what to talk about in the dungeon, we can somehow relate to like a character or a story or another dungeon in the Zelda series. Like it's hard to do it with a top-down game.
Well, I will say though,
this is your favorite game. You better start talking about better.
I know.
I'm expecting you to have like 50,000 things that you want to talk about.
Man, are you going to be disappointed?
If you want to go somewhere else later in the game, let's go there.
But I will say, I actually you mentioned this opening room. I like how we had that treasure chest, the main treasure chest with the item right there that we could see.
Kind of goes back to Eastern Palace.
It really
got
does.
Like that main room very early on in the dungeon, and
really
we had to walk around, until we got it. So,
and I love the hookshot. I believe this was the first game that had the hookshot.
It was just an amazing item.
I mean, it's been a mainstay ever since then.
Like, I don't really know how to even talk about it, but just at that time, like a lot of this game did that. But you're just like, wow, like I never thought I could get across this like gap. Which, the physics don't really make sense of it. Like you would swing down and hit that wall right there.
Oh yeah, you would have face planted.
But I just remember seeing that. I was like, wow, we can use something like this to get across gaps, because I was standing there looking at that door we just went through, like the first time playing, like how in the world are we, like is there a step ladder like we get in like the Legend of Zelda or something like that? So
and obviously, the developers loved it because the hookshot's been in every single game since, as far as I can know.
And it's not in every single game. It's in a lot of Zelda games.
Most of them.
I can't say I'm pretty sure it's not in every single one, but
I'm sure there's something that
to this day it's still one of my favorite items in most of the Zelda games. And then we get the double one later on, which could you imagine the double claw shot in this game?
I don't even know how you would implement that.
Oh, you could. You could do it somehow, but just a double claw shot, that's also an awesome weapon.
And we're also a fan of weapons that allow us to open up a little bit more of the overworld, and the hookshot opens up a little bit more, especially up in the Death Mountain region. Lets us get across that one giant bridge that we could not get across earlier in Death Mountain.
You also saw a transition right there. We don't have too many transitions anymore because we actually practice our recordings, and we do a lot better than we used to.
You practice?
I think, I do. I practice more than when you want to know.
Doesn't show.
And it's still
just totally
Red. Nope. You go ahead. You got the whole commentary from now on. You got a good.
I've got to get my shots.
You got 4 minutes left to commentate this whole video by yourself.
Hey, I got to get my shots in before we get to Twilight Princess.
Okay, so first, anyways, I just went up the steps right there, and so that's why you saw a transition. But anyways, I love this room right here with all the waterfalls coming down. It looked awesome.
It does, and like if you look at the map, I believe you can kind of get an idea of which where the waterfall is. You need to go up, but otherwise,
also if you go through one, it sends you to that room on the left.
That's right,
and then you kind of see this room here to the right, so it kind of gives you an idea that you need to go to one of the waterfalls on the right. So just a very cool, unique concept right there. Not really hard. You basically just guess.
Well, yeah, exactly.
But just very cool.
Well, especially because we went up a couple waterfalls earlier back in the overworld. So it was kind of cool to get that introduced in the dungeon as well. And, you have to remember that, hey, this is something you can do. Otherwise, how would you even think of it except for looking at the map on your start screen?
Now, this area, or that room right there, I actually like that too, because that's the first room in the dungeon where the water's been flowing.
Yeah, that's
right. Well, actually, I think the first room, the entrance room, maybe the water was flowing a little bit. I'm not sure. But this one right here, you can definitely tell it's flowing.
Yeah, from
just a very cool room. I said a very cool room like numerous times, but this is a very cool dungeon, so I don't even care.
It's just a nice little ripple effect across the water. So now I will say this is one of the few times we actually get the boss symbol right before we actually go and fight the boss.
I don't know how many times it happens, but I know
it's happened a couple times.
For the most part, usually we had the boss symbol, and then we go through another room, and then the boss comes, but great dungeon. I'm not so big on the boss. It's like it's not a horrible boss. I do like bringing the enemies towards you with the hook shot.
That was a good implementation of using the hook shot against the boss, but part of not being a huge fan of the boss is I know we encounter at least one or two other eyeball-related bosses throughout the game, and it gets a little repetitive, but for this, it's not bad at all.
And if you're at the bottom facing north, if you get one of those, I don't know what they're called on the outside, so I'll just keep on saying enemies.
It looks like a little puff ball.
That thing hits you every single time if you're like looking north. Now, one thing I do like is that they actually put water in the boss room and kind of have the snake heads on the side or whatever animal that is, like with water coming out of them. So cool addition right there.
It is a good touch. Now you mentioned this and I didn't realize it, that using the ice rod against him does twice the damage that using your sword does. Now I can't promise that I would actually hit him with any of these shots.
As you can see, you gotta lead him a little bit more. And also another thing, when he drops down, he always goes to the bottom right corner of the screen, so it's easy to dodge him if you know that. But
it's also easy to lead him now.
Yeah, exactly. But like 4 hits with the ice rod versus 8 with the sword, so yeah, it kills him a little bit faster, but you do have to lead him a little bit more. So I thought it was easier if you just got a little bit of space between you and Arrghus, but
especially again with the magic meter upgrade, the ice rod doesn't use as much magic because you saw us come into this dungeon with 0 magic.
There's actually a couple people, I put this boss video up a little while ago, they're like, I didn't even know you could use the ice rod. I actually didn't either until I was preparing for this recording. I saw it somewhere. I was like, oh, let's see how much easier this actually makes it. Like as you can see, it made it a ton easier.
Well, I think you only missed him on the very first shot. After that, you had him
maybe. I did pretty good. I would say something, but then you already commented before the video and burned me, so I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say anything about leave my receivers or anything of that nature.
But once again, we saved the maiden. It's nice to get a little bit of backstory. She ends up talking a little bit about how I believe Ganondorf got the Triforce in the Dark World. So, and she's so hopeful.
But he couldn't get back to like the Light World. I actually think I read this one today.
Yeah,
I remember a little bit of it. But then she also says
she mentions the portals we can use to go back.
Yes, the portals. Exactly.
So, but typical maiden talk. We're the only one who can save the King of Darkness.
But such a great dungeon, man. Like one of the best in the game.
But now that we've beat the dungeon, this will wrap up part 15 of Link to the Past.